Your screen time is precious. So let's jump straight into it. Money. On the one hand, there's nothing more fascinating than its limitless potential. On the other hand, there's nothing more terrifying than its equally limitless capacity to cause harm. It can be a source of stress, anxiety, and an endless chasing, always worried about losses or the moment it stops coming in. Or it can be a source of inspiration, of personal growth, and an unshakable confidence in your future. So how do you break free from the constant turmoil around money and instead use it to enrich your life in every way possible? Well, the surprising answer lies in some of the oldest pieces of human wisdom ever recorded by the ancient Stoics. And while that may sound a bit odd, the reality is that all of this modern financial world, including the most successful billionaires alive today, stand on the shoulders of giants. So here are 7 Stoic money lessons that will help you to build unshakable wealth. Number 1, wealth isn't even about money. We live in a world obsessed with money. From the news we read to the friends we choose, everything is centered around one thing: making, growing, and multiplying your money. But the Stoics saw things very differently. In fact, when discussing wealth, Epicurus only mentions money once. But when he does, he puts it into context. He says, wealth does not mean having great possessions. It is having few wants. In other words, wealth isn't about how much you have, it's about how unshakable you are. The wealthiest person in the world is the one who has everything taken away and still feels rich. And it's the person who has lost everything and still feels wealthy. Because true wealth is not having anything to lose. In the grand scheme of things, if you are watching this video, you already have a lot. If you are able to eat when you want, sleep where you want, and love who you want, you have enough. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could stop being so worried about what you don't have and start being grateful for what you do. Number 2, only you have control over your money. When it comes to our finances, it's easy to think we have more control than we actually do. Yes, we decide how much to save or spend each month. But outside of that, pretty much everything else is beyond our influence. Markets rise and fall. Governments print more money. Investors buy and sell. Competitors undercut us. Creditors default. Economies change. People get sick. And any number of unforeseen circumstances can throw your entire financial world upside down. And yes, you can research and prepare for many of them, but that does not take away the unpredictability of life. So, instead of stressing over what you cannot control, focus your attention on what you can. Your own habits, your own savings rate, your own level of understanding, and your own willingness to adjust. The circle of control is a powerful tool to visualize this principle. Anything you cannot control, put it outside the circle. Only what you can control goes inside. And once you learn to manage your attention this way, you will find that you worry far less and perform far better. Number 3. Picture yourself becoming poorer. Now, this might seem like a weird piece of advice, but just hear me out. You see, negative visualization, which involves imagining the worst-case scenario, is not about creating more fear. It's about building immunity against it. By imagining ourselves losing our income, losing our savings, or losing our investments, we can mentally prepare ourselves to accept the possibility that these things can happen. In fact, I would argue that this is one of the most important things you can do when it comes to your finances. One of the reasons people panic during a recession is because they are surprised by the situation. They've never experienced anything like this before, so they feel unprepared and suddenly forced to make big decisions. But if you have imagined such situations beforehand, you will know how to react. You will have a plan already in place. And even if you don't, you won't panic. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should go ahead and sell everything you have and wait for the apocalypse. Of course not. I'm merely saying that, on a regular basis, you should ask yourself, what would happen if I lost my job tomorrow? What would happen if I lost half of my portfolio value? And how would I respond in each of those cases? Once you work out your answers, you will realize how well equipped you are to handle whatever comes your way. And that feeling is priceless. The emergency fund is a good example of this in practice. It's a buffer between you and disaster. But I would argue that the mental preparedness is just as important as the actual funds saved. Number 4. Don't want what you don't need. The Stoics had a simple rule. Desire is the root of all suffering. And when it comes to money, that statement couldn't be more true. The more we want, the more we will be chasing, the more we will be stressed, and the less likely we are to actually get what we want. Our brains are basically hardwired to compare ourselves to others. And with social media today, it's easier than ever to feel inadequate about what you have. So I encourage you to fight back. Be aware of the ads bombarding you every single day, telling you what you need. Be aware of the marketing ploys trying to trick you into buying. And be aware of the subtle cues that society gives you to try and keep up with the Joneses. Instead, practice gratitude for what you have. Embrace simplicity in your life, and you will find that your finances improve almost by themselves. As Seneca said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Number 5. Use wealth for what matters. If you follow the first 4 steps, you will find yourself accumulating wealth, whether it's money, knowledge, experience, or health. But just having wealth isn't enough. You have to use it. As the old saying goes, wealth is not the thing we use, but the way we use it. So here are 3 things to keep in mind. First, spend intentionally. Every dollar you spend should be on something that makes you better, happier, or more connected. Second, be generous with others. The best way to multiply wealth is to share it with people who are not yet wealthy. If you want to get rich, make sure others get richer first. And third, invest in yourself. Nothing brings greater returns than the knowledge and skills you acquire. You are the key to your success, so treat yourself as an investment. Number 6. Don't lose yourself when you lose money. You've seen them, those people who suddenly become desperate, angry, bitter, or depressed because they've lost money. But why do they react this way? Because they've made their identity, their sense of self-worth, and their happiness dependent on money. But this is not the Stoic way. As Marcus Aurelius famously said, it is not things that upset us, but our opinions about those things. This means that it is not the events in life that upset us, but our judgment about the events. So you can choose to look at a loss of money as an opportunity to learn or grow, as a temporary setback on a journey, or as a defining moment in your life story. This is not to say that you shouldn't care about losing money. Of course you should. You should care about the amount of work that went into earning that money, the sacrifices that were made, and the hopes and dreams that were attached to it. But don't let the loss of money affect the quality of your character. Don't let it define who you are. A Stoic can take a loss on the markets and still be at peace. A Stoic can lose a client and still be at peace. A Stoic can lose their business and still be at peace. Why? Because they know that peace comes from within. It comes from a strong character and a virtuous life. Number 7. Develop your daily money habits. Lastly, develop a morning and evening routine. This is an extremely powerful habit that will pay off massively in the long term. When you wake up, ask yourself, what money worries do I control? What actions can I take right now to solve these problems? Then, at the end of the day, ask yourself, Where did I act wisely with money today? Where did I act foolishly? This is a practice that will bring clarity to your financial life and ensure that you always stay focused. And finally, practice contentment. Seneca said it best. It is not poverty to want little. It is contentment to want nothing. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out this playlist for more videos on Stoicism in practice.